I'll have lots of editing to do.
Well, that's your job.
Oh boy, that's the intro. Hey everyone, so I'm here with Danielle and we're in beautiful Lassen National Park over at one of the amazing campsites out here, and I figured being that we're literally living in one of the adventure videos that will be coming out, I figured now would be an awesome opportunity to talk to Danielle about what the heck living the adventure is about, fun things that have happened, crazy things that have happened. So we already know this trip has had some crazy things that have happened already.
This video could go on forever if we were going to talk about crazy things.
We'll just stick to like the greatest things. But all that aside, let's dive in. Okay, so first of all, I actually don't even know the answer to this. How did you come up with the name Living the Adventure for your channel?
Well, I think it kind of came from just kind of like the style of how I liked to do videos. Because it's like, I just, on a whim, started doing like, if you were to put a technique behind it, the first person experience with the camera and stuff like that. Because it's like, a lot of times you don't actually see me in the shots. It's just me taking the camera wherever I'm going. So that was kind of the feel I was going for, because it's like I wanted it to feel like whoever's watching is in the adventure themselves. And I also like it because I feel like if I can multitask enough, it's like I can still enjoy what I'm doing while filming it and not feel like I'm so focused on filming that I'm missing what's going on, because that's another thing with filming. It's like you don't want to miss what's going on. You want to actually live in the adventure yourself, because otherwise then it's just kind of like, well, you videotaped it and then you watch the video and it's just like, I don't really remember what that was like. I was too busy filming it, and that's really sad to me. It's like you don't want to focus so much on filming that you forget to live in the moment.
I can attest to that, being at events where I get so focused on just filming stuff, and then it's like, oh shoot, I forgot about this, that, and the other. So I can attest to that. But that's really awesome. And personally, that's what I really love about editing your style of videos, which is my role. Surprise, surprise, is I'm the video editor. We'll team up on things. I'll mostly do it remotely, send her a rough cut, things like that.
This channel would not exist without his help. Let's just be honest here, because I don't know the first thing about editing. I've learned some things from him, but he has the computer and the software to do it. I do not.
Fair enough, yeah. So, but having that ability to just, we try and do clips as chronologically as we can, but there's some times where I'll admit, shocker, we've had to do things slightly out of order to look better, but nobody would ever know because, it's that first person view, which is awesome, because then it really makes you feel like you're there experiencing it. Now, as for crazy things, you can either talk about this trip, which will have its own separate behind the scenes video, if you will, of things that went wrong on the way up, but is there anything in the course of all your filming, I'm talking Croatia, Paris, Pinnacles, this one even, anything that's like stuck out to you as like, whoa, I can't believe I'm here, I'm experiencing this, I'm doing this is incredible?
Honestly, I think I would have to go to, I don't know if I would define it as crazy per se, but kind of what got this whole thing started was basically, it's like as a graduation gift, bless my beautiful, generous aunt's heart, she basically gifted me a trip to Europe, which meant going to Paris, France, and then Croatia, because she was going to be going there herself, because she was on a writer's retreat, and then was going on vacation from there. And she travels a lot. I had never been to Europe before this point. I had not really done a lot of international travel, so this was a big thing. And it's like, I filmed all the stuff in Paris, and that was amazing. But then when we got to Croatia, and just the water there, and we went swimming I don't know how many times, and being able to just swim with the camera and film underwater, it's just like, I fell in love with doing that. And he can attest to this, because it's like, I have like a magnetic attraction to water. It's like, if I see some water, I really want to film it and like get myself in it. if I can.
One way or another, the camera gets in the water. It's pretty much an unwritten rule now of any video, if we're going somewhere that has a body of water in it,
There has to be water shots. There has to be.
It's like it has to be in there. But fun random tidbit, she's actually the one who shot my YouTube intro of me coming out of the water with the coin in one take. None of us could see each other under the water, so I just had a feeling that we were going to have murky, oh, look, I'm out of the water with the coin. And somehow, to this day, I have no clue, because we did it in one take. You managed to have the camera just close enough to the coin and track the speed just right that it was like...
I still don't know how I did that, because it's like I couldn't see anything.
I couldn't see anything either. And
I think that's the thing, because it's like when I first like tested out your rigs in the water before that, it's like I enjoyed doing that too.
Oh, yeah.
But then when it's like I had my own little rig that you made, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I was doing it in the Croatia water, which is like super clear. You can see for
clear.
miles. It's also very salty, so it's like my eyes stung a little bit, but it was worth it. So yeah, you could say that I was crazy enough to open my eyes under that water because they were stinging. But just to be able to see all that and have this little mini camera that I could go wherever I wanted with it practically. It just went on from there. And then it's like when we started going on other trips, like I visited some national parks, I brought my camera with me. I was going to a city I'd never been before, I brought my camera with me. And it wasn't even anything that was really planned. It just evolved from that.
Well, I know one of the fun videos we did, I think it might be on my channel, is when we went down to LA for the day and we hit up like Cole's French Dip, and then we hit up the Last Bookstore, and then we hit up Little Tokyo. And it was like there were so many little scenes in that, kind of like when we had like one of those transit officers who like waves for a second at your camera as you're walking by, or it's like you freaking out when you get your lunch, or I think we went to the bookstore. I can't remember. There were so many different things that we did. Was that also? We didn't film the time that we went to the Griffith Park, did we?
I don't think so.
No. But there's been.
We don't film every single thing we do.
No, there's so many adventures they all just meld into one. But yeah, so pretty much what happened was, very early on, I knew Danielle was really good in the water, so that's why I recruited her to do my intro video. Then when I figured out she was really good at it, and even before then, you had got some really cool shots when we were at the beach with like the first gen of my GoPro rig after we got paddleboarding. When I figured out she was a natural in the water and I wanted to test it in the water, I'm like, well, this is the person to do it. And then it kind of just evolved from there, and then being she's really good at filming things, we did Maker Faire, which she's contributed to a lot of videos directly and indirectly. But yeah, it's kind of just that evolution. I mean, if somebody wanted to try and, even if it's just for personal family use, wanted to try and document a trip, even if they're using their cell phone, which obviously cell phones these days can actually shoot some really good stuff, and sometimes...
I mean, lots of people use their cell phones.
No shame.
Yeah.
What tips would you have to offer them? We're not talking video editing, but just like shot composure or just general filming tips.
I think, and I am not an expert by any means, a lot of this I have just learned from experience over time, but lighting is a big thing. You have to be careful with what angle you're filming with and where the sun is and stuff like that, because if you're filming into the sun, most likely your shots are going to get glared out no matter what camera you use, unless you have like a really fancy camera that you can adjust the settings. But most people starting out are not going to have that, and that's like too stressful to deal with anyway.
Or just too much work even if you know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the main thing. Figure out what your lighting is, because that's going to make a difference on how good your shots look. And also, and I kind of had to learn this the hard way and from experience myself, is unless you have like, a pimped out Steadicam rig, which I do not have one, and I don't think I would want one either.
Mind you, this is all she films with. We pulled the camera off and put it on a tripod to film, but this is literally all she uses.
It's very difficult to keep the camera very steady, and you kind of have to walk weird and kind of just like hold everything together so that like you can get, and you don't have to do that the whole time, because that's just like, that's no fun and that's impossible. But if you really want to get like a good clip, you have to be sure that you're keeping the camera as steady as you can, because otherwise, even if you have a camera that has like stabilization abilities, it's gonna come out shaky. And it's not the end of the world. Like my first few videos, they were a little shaky to begin with, and it's like I was just learning how to do it and having fun with it, so I didn't mind so much. But the more that I did it, the more, I guess, picky I got, the more it started to bother me when I would get like shaky shots and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh dang, I needed to keep the camera more stable. So
I think your editor might have complained a couple of times as well about
yeah,
that.
he's also poked me about it too, which is a good thing. He's trying to make it look better. So, yeah, I think those are the two main things. No matter what camera you're going to use, it's like lighting and making sure that it's steady for the shot.
For sure. And then any last tips for people just in general when it comes to traveling? Like in this case, obviously we're in a national park, we're camping, that sort of thing. Do you have any tips for people just in general about traveling to go places, or just general advice like that?
Honestly, I think it's one of those things. I mean, granted, the thing that I love about going to national parks and going like camping and stuff like that is that if you can get past the entrance fee, because that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But
Get the annual pass if you can. It pays for itself very quick.
we're gonna do that. We haven't done that yet, but we're gonna.
Please donate to our PayPal link.
But the thing is that usually coming to these places is cheaper than like trying to find a hotel somewhere, because it's very hard to find a hotel for like under $100 if you're trying to stay someplace nice.
Well, I mean,
And-
for example, as of the time of filming, it's $30 for us to be here for, what was it, I think 5 days is the current, as of the time
That doesn't
of
include the campsite fees.
Right, but what I'm saying is, we'll just say it's a $30 admission plus the campsite was what, 26, I think?
I would have to check again. And it varies between park too.
Yeah.
Some parks, the campsites are more expensive than other ones. So it's just kind of like you need to figure out what budget you're willing to work with. But camping is great if you're willing to rough it, because usually that's going to be cheaper than if you're trying to like go to a city and stay at a hotel, or if you have to fly somewhere. It gets expensive really quickly. So I would say it's like figure out what budget you're willing to work with, and then, you know, what your timetable is, what you have to do anyway. But more than anything else, it's just kind of like if you want to actually get out and do stuff, you have to make it happen. It's like you have to basically take that leap to like, you know, okay, I've got this free weekend, or I'm gonna have these days off. I'm booking this. I'm going. I think that's the hardest part, because
Committing to it.
lots of people, it's like they talk about, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there, and I do the same thing. I'm guilty of this too.
Ditto.
And
she
it's-
knows. I'm very guilty of it.
And then it's like, you know, stuff gets in the way, or you're too tired, or you just don't do it. And sometimes it's like it's out of your control and you can't do anything about it, and it's understandable. That's happened to me before. But it's like if you really want to get out and have more adventures, then you actually need to say, okay, this is something that I'm going to dedicate time and money to, and I'm going to do it. And honestly, you won't regret any of it. It's amazing. And as far as filming is concerned, my advice would be, you know, when you're going places, if you see something that's like, oh, it's a cool shot, stuff like that, it's like, have fun with it. Don't get so wrapped up in trying to document it that you miss the trip. Because I know that some people that go to these places and that's what they're doing, they're filming and they're trying to make an instructional video, and that's fine. But I feel like you miss the moment when
Yeah.
you're focusing so much on like, oh, I've got to get this good video to put on my YouTube channel. It's like, that's not what we're doing at all. And I don't expect that my channel's ever going to be like super big or anything like that. In some ways, I don't even want that, because then
You
it's
don't
too
want
much.
that. No, when you get big, and I'm speaking being a small channel, it gets really frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, honestly, if you want to go out and film stuff, do it and have fun with it and find what you like. It's like, don't think about like filming stuff that you think that other people are going to like, or people have suggested if you don't feel it. It's like me. I like water shots. That's my thing. So I always like to go get those. He likes to do time lapses. Now, I've done some time lapses too, but that's more of his cup of tea, and maybe if I find a time lapse that I like to do, I'll do it. But it's all about what I think I would like and what looks good, and having fun with it.
And I think honestly that's some really good advice. The other advice I would give is, being that we usually will tag team, or if you're traveling with your sister or with your sister and your dad, you guys will kind of trade off who's doing filming as well. If you're traveling with another friend, don't be scared to let them film as well, because obviously
Absolutely.
I'm more into big panoramic scenery shots, because I look at it and go, wow, I can do that for my train layout. And Danielle's like, I'm going to go stick my camera into the water. I'm going to get up close to this bush. But when you take those two totally different filming mentalities and you put them together, you get an amazing video that covers both the macro and the micro level, which is totally awesome. But if we'd done it on our own, I would have just had, oh, look, it's panorama, it's driving time lapse. And Danielle would have been like, look at this bug, look at this bush, look at this plant. You know, I'm slightly exaggerating,
It mixes
but
it up. And
yeah.
it's like, I've done that before. It's like, you know, my sister she's not really into filming and stuff like that, but every now and again I'll give her the camera and she'll run with it and do something with it. And there's actually some really nice gems in there that I can get out of it. So it's like, I mean, again, if you're not comfortable, if you're afraid that somebody's going to break your camera, then by all means don't do that. But the fact that I'm using a GoPro that's pretty durable to begin with, it's just like, as long as they promise that they're not going to lose it, I don't have much to worry about.
Well, I mean, case in point of giving your sister the camera and letting her loose was the Lake Kachuma lake monster video.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the lake monster! So, this is Kachuma Lake!
Literally, this one's great because...
If you want to talk about crazy...
I'm not kidding. I'm in the kayak and I go, here guys, here's the camera. Next thing I hear is screaming about some because I said if you want the camera to hear your voice, because it was my camera inside of a waterproof case, it really mutes the audio, so I'm like, you're gonna have to speak up. Well, I forgot that Danielle's sister talks loud already, and when she hears you're gonna have to talk loud, she just starts belting out her hilarious lines, and I'm just sitting there in the kayak.
They weren't even lines. She just like spewed it out. It's like, that wasn't scripted whatsoever. I had no idea that was going to happen, and I was just laughing and giggling the entire time.
I mean, both of us are in our separate kayaks just trying not to capsize, just busting up laughing as it's going on, and it literally became its own completely separate video because it was so funny. I'm like, I don't care if you hate it, I'm like, we are so gonna make this video. So there's a good example of just when you hand somebody else the camera, you never know what you're going to get out. But
he literally looked at the footage and then he's just like, you know what? I'm going to make a horror movie out of this. And it's like he sent me like a video that he did like probably within an hour of us giving the footage to him, and it's just like, I don't know what this is, but it's great.
And of all the videos, that one consistently is like in the top of the analytics, and it's the most random, hilarious, and just downright what in the heck video we've ever done.
I mean, honestly, I think people that click on it are expecting something totally different from what it is, but hey, they clicked on it.
Watch time is watch time. Watch time doesn't lie. Okay, well, this has been a really awesome interview, and it's probably gone longer than we had anticipated, but you know what? Thank you again for sitting down and taking time out of this wonderful day. Our poor campfire needs some TLC. But you know what? Steed. Oh my gosh. But honestly, in all seriousness, get out there, try something new. And coming from somebody who always talks about, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to do that, and never does it, set some time aside, set some money aside, force yourself to go out there and experience something new, because I promise you, it will not be for nothing. Even
it
if
changes your life,
yes,
for
even
the
if
better.
Everything goes wrong, there's still going to be something that you're going to glean from it that's going to help you later on in life. And even though we ran into a whole bunch of problems trying to even come out here for this trip, which is its own separate thing that I'm going to have, we still made the most of it once we got out here. And you know what? That is what matters. So we'll conclude the video with a couple of teaser shots of all the awesomeness that was out here. And as for me, I'm going to go get some more firewood.
So yes, hope those of you that are going to actually take the time to watch this enjoy it, and that you'll check out the other videos of the places we've been so far. We have lots of desires to go to plenty of other places, slowly but surely. It really depends on time and money. So go out there and live in the adventure.